Israel's war on Gaza continues to take more civilian lives every day. On Wednesday, officials in Gaza's health ministry said more than 750 Palestinians were killed over a period of 24 hours, nearly half of them children. The deadly cost of 2 weeks of bombardment prompting demands for action at the UN.
We call on the Security Council to undertake its responsibility as defined in the Charter to work for the cessation of hostilities, an immediate and sustained ceasefire.
But Wednesday, Russia and China vetoed a U.S. draft resolution calling for a pause in hostilities to allow humanitarian aid deliveries into Gaza. Then a Russian resolution that included a ceasefire failed to get enough votes to pass.
The US has made it very clear that it will not support any text explicitly calling for a ceasefire. It is willing to endorse humanitarian pauses, but it doesn't want to demand a final halt to Israeli operations.
The same scenario was played out last week when rival U.S. and Russian resolutions failed to be approved by the Security Council. The Security Council's failure to quickly adopt a life-saving ceasefire resolution on Gaza reflects a long history of not being able to prevent conflicts or stop them. Historically, Russia and the U.S. have cast the most vetoes in the Council. Russia has used its veto at least 151 times, the U.S. 88 times, most often to shield Israel.
People are actually walking around the UN shaking their heads, wondering, what's the point of the Security Council? Now, the fact is that there is a lot of international law already in place. We don't need the Security Council to weigh in on the obligation of Israel, of Palestinian armed groups to comply with international humanitarian law.
And when it comes to preventing armed conflicts and coups, Africa remains the most glaring example of the inability of the UN Security Council to intervene in a surge of coups that have swept across the continent. The UN may be able to respond and mitigate the humanitarian costs of conflicts. However, the continuing war in Ukraine is evidence the UN's political influence to resolve them appears to be shrinking. Frank Ucciardo, TRT World, the United Nations.